Hello everyone, Vickieverlie here, the Rock and Roll Prophetess. Today we're going to take a look at the new moon in March, happening on March 10th of 2024 at 20 degrees of Pisces. This is going to be a psychic or intuitive interpretation of the astrological energies. So I do color outside the lines quite a bit. It's based in astrology, but I do get messages and downloads from my guides as we go through the reading. You guys are going to have to let me know if you want me to continue with this particular style of this reading here, the new and full moon charts, because, the views are way down, and I mean, the last couple of ones, I mean, I made $5 or $6 off of it, and it's an hour of my time, a good hour of my time between running the chart and then everything that comes after. And, for $5 or $6, I think I could maybe find, something else to do. I'm working on a deck. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I really like doing this particular reading. It's very spiritual and psychic. And I don't want you to suggest that I do it sign by sign, because this is a different kind of reading. I do a weekly astrology and tarot where I would, if the full moon or new moons fall in that week, it will be discussed over on Patreon. It's we go through the astrology aspects for the week, and we go sign by sign, and we pull cards, and we talk about it there. This is a different kind of thing. I don't want to have to compartmentalize it so much. This is a more expansive, a more psychic and intuitive reading, which is really kind of my style anyway, So I do like doing these readings, but if you do want to for me to keep doing them, I should say, then go ahead and maybe hit a like or leave a comment or something, so that maybe other people who might enjoy this particular style of reading will, find out about it and watch it, and maybe we can get the numbers up a little bit. But it's kind of been going by the wayside for a while, and I'm considering, should I keep doing it or not? So you guys will have to let me know. I'd like to keep doing it. Again, I think it's I think this is the more favorite thing that I really like to do, because it kind of lets me really stretch my legs out psychically and spiritually and get those channeled messages and stuff, through the chart. But again, if people aren't interested, then they're not interested. Then maybe it's time to do something else. But you guys will have to let me know. But anyways, talking about psychic and spiritual stuff, yeah, this new moon in Pisces has it all, that's it. Every year it is. And this year it's, really kind of close to this Neptunian energy. We're getting in there pretty close with the Neptune energy, so it's really powerful. It's everything about Neptune and Pisces. It's psychic, it's spiritual, it's creative, it's music, it's dance. It's getting those downloads from your guides and angels, and, being in that zone of communing with spirit and doing that kind of work where we're channeling and we're connecting. And Saturn is here too. Saturn's creeping up. I don't know if I'd pull Saturn in for a conjunction with a 9-degree orb, but, it's creeping up and it's in there. And so that brings it more to maybe a serious side. I've said this before. I feel like, the Neptune energy is so elusive and so, not untangible, and it's so much out there, in the water, in the ether. It's so fluid. And Saturn coming in, because it's the nature of it, it's so, there's times when we might not feel it, we might not sense it, we might not see it, because we're so concentrated on our 3D life and everything that's going on here. But with Saturn coming in, that can bridge that gap. That can be a bridge between heaven and earth, or the spiritual and the, the 3D reality, or the higher dimensions in the 3D reality, or the creative muse and the seeker. It's all these kinds of things. And it's reaching the earth through the energy of Saturn. Saturn's bringing it down. And not only that, all the beauty and all the creation of the Neptunian energy, Saturn can really give it a grounding, a foundation, give it something to really build upon in the 3D reality here. So it's powerful in that way. It's very, very powerful. We've got something here with the Mercury in this chart. The Mercury is blazing the trail, blazing ahead here into the 0 Aries point, which of course is the Aries Ingress right around the corner. Again, I am offering those readings. A lot of people have been ordering it. Something came through in a personal reading I was doing for somebody, and this is so true. The Aries Ingress is like the solar return for the collective. It's when the sun returns back to that 0 point of 0 Aries, because we go through the zodiac of the 0 point of 0 Aries until we go all the way around to 29 Pisces, and it turns over again and it's over and over and over again, okay? So this could, Mercury at that 0 point could be a precursor as to something that may be coming down the pike here a little bit later in a couple of weeks in the Aries ingress, okay? But it is a new beginning. This is a time for Mercury, so sending out those emails, making those inquiries, sending those messages, getting those, I'm hearing like securing those funds, but I was also feeling like securing those websites or something. Because sometimes when you're getting ready to post something, like say you want to debut or post something on the Aries ingress, you know, because that's a good time to do new beginnings, for sure. It's the astrological new year. And it's packed, it's a packed power punch this year. There's all kinds of things going on. It's a really powerful one. A lot of that's already happening here. It's already starting to develop and move into place here in this chart too. But, you know, sometimes there's things that you don't know about. Sometimes there's an approval window where you have to wait 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks, you know. Find all these things out, you know, because if you really want something to be debuted on the Aries ingress, you really want to start that beginning, this would be the time to do that research. And the 12th house can also be that research. Find out, well, is there a delay? How long does it take to get approved? How long does it take to go live? Sometimes it's processing. You know, even when you post YouTube videos, there's this process. If it's a big video, it might be processing for a couple hours sometimes, you know. So, you know, if you have this real specific thing that you're wanting to do, this is the time to find out all the details. They're saying the devil's in the details. Get in there and find all those details. Mercury is also in an out-of-sign conjunction with Neptune at this time, too, with the fire and water of the Neptune and Pisces energy. So again, it's like there could be some illusionatory, elusive. There could be some elusive thing that you didn't know about, and you're just like, oh dang, I wanted to get this thing going, and there's this whole other process that I didn't know about. Or if you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go through, I watched a YouTube video, I'm gonna go and upload the whole thing and get it all done and on the day of. No, do it ahead of time. Most things like that, things that you're gonna launch, whether it's a website or whether it's even, you know, you can debut it later. You know, you can put it as a draft. So this would be the time, let's get our drafts together here. Let's go in and figure out any glitches that are going to come up along the way, because, you know, let's face it, there almost always is, right? There's always something. It's always something. It's like, is that Rodana, or whoever? Rosanna, Dana? It's just, she say it's always something. It is. That's always something, right? So this is the time to get in there and figure all that stuff out. So if you're wanting to do something, if you're wanting to launch on the Aries ingress, or start a new job, or send out your resumes, or launch that website, that publish that song, or whatever you want to do, that book, you know, the self-published book, there's always this window of, you know, waiting time. Or if you're even thinking about doing it on the eclipses that are going to be coming up, those are powerful launch dates too. There's going to be some eclipses coming up. As this moves into this Aries energy, this is the time to do all that prep work, all that research, get all that stuff in a row and get with it, and get, you know, make sure it's all on track to go live, and or whatever. Or you have all your, you know, maybe sometimes you get into something and then you find out, oh, you can only send so many emails a day, and you were planning on doing this big launch, so maybe you need to upgrade your account to allow for the bigger, you know, there's all kinds of things that can happen. So it's like the you know, the beginning of what's to come here as we move into the Aries ingress and we move into the Aries eclipse and everything. And then we've got, of course, we've got the, you know, the North Node Chiron. That is actually all three of these in the Aries ingress chart. All three of these are in a tight orb conjunction. So that would definitely be one of the things that's addressed in that chart. But this is just about this healing. This is about finding a way out of this, because Chiron often is these things that we just do over and over and over again. These mistakes we make again and again. Maybe not mistakes, but it's a pattern that we're kind of stuck in. It's a karmic pattern. We do it over and over in this incarnation and other incarnations too. And we really, you know, we always incarnate with the best intentions. We're always incarnating with, you know, I'm gonna come down there and I'm gonna nip this thing in the butt. You know, I'm gonna heal this thing if it kills me, because it probably will. Well, we know, you know, life is, everybody, no one here gets out alive, to quote the Jim Morrison thing. But you know, and when we get here, it's still ingrained in us. And I feel like it's also like being in the environment again. When you're out of body, everything's so big and expansive, and it's just like, yeah, cool, yeah, I can handle that. We always say you pile it on. Yeah, I'll take some of that. Sure. This, that trauma? Oh, yeah, I can handle that. A piece of cake. Walk in the park. Then you get down here, and when you get into this atmosphere of being, residing in the 3D, also, there is, you know, these old patterns click into place. It's almost like when you go home for the holidays, you know, right away you revert back to your teenage self or something, people will say. You know, it's like that. When you reincarnate back in the body, right away you're falling into these old patterns just because of the environment or the atmosphere, or just, you know, the physicality of the whole thing, you know, being in, or you're sleeping in your old childhood room, you know, some people, you know, it's like that, and then it's just like you're right away, you're back in that old patterning again, you know. So that's what happens to us in an incarnation as well. So this Aries energy is wanting us to really break free of that. The Chiron and the Aries wanting us as individuals to break free. Again, I've talked about this before, but I feel a lot about this particular conjunction is a lot has to do with the South Node as well. And it's like, you know, you don't need everybody's approval. You know, do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a good idea? Who cares if anybody else thinks it's a good idea? And when you do that kind of stuff, you're just letting the energy right out of it. You're just letting the energy, just turning on that, there it goes down the drain. Because all that excitement and everything, your friends and your circle of people that you know, or whoever, even your social media contacts, they're not necessarily, there's, 8 billion people in the world or something, some crazy number. You know, just because they don't poo-poo it, if it's something that lights your fire and you really have that burning desire and that flame to do it, then go, by all means, do it for yourself. And you don't need anybody else to come along. You don't need anybody else to approve. Of course, again, you got to be cool. You can't just walk over people. But don't be talked out of your dreams. That's basically it. Don't be talked out of your dreams, okay? All right, here we go. Jupiter-Uranus conjunction closing in. That's happening exact on 4/20. This is another thing we will address in the Aries Ingress reading if you order that. But again, it's just pulling us. It's pulling us into new and exciting territory. Again, just like I said with the Saturn energy, it's grounding it in reality. Because Uranus is way out there in outer space and everything, and Uranus is these crazy wild ideas. You know, people have their midlife crisis. I think that's some kind of a Uranus square or something. Don't quote me on that. But you know, they have their midlife, and I just sold my house and I bought a sports car, and I'm leaving my partner, and I'm gonna do this crazy. You know, my whole life just crazy changes, and that happens always with Uranus transits. But with Jupiter, it's even more amplified. It's even more crazy, even more wild. But Jupiter too could be like the lucky thing, especially in the Earth sign of Taurus too. You know, you could land in that lucky place. You know, you could be that one in a million. You could do that thing if you're following your true soul's calling. You know, that's key to it all. You know, aligning with our path, not what looks good with somebody else. So I see them on social media and they're living the life. I want their life. And not to say that you couldn't live, you know, have nice things. It's not about wealth and money necessarily. But it's okay, they have all this great stuff and their life is so cool. So I'm going to do exactly what they did, and then it'll happen for me too. And even if it probably won't happen for you too, but even if it does happen for you, and it's not your soul's calling, you're not going to be fulfilled by it, okay? You're not going to get that thing. And the universe provides for those who are doing their soul work. It really does. Things work out. It's not usually anything that you can necessarily think of, you know, with the Mercury energy. It's not something you can else conjure in your brain. You know, we're the little mice down here in the universe. You know, the guides are the eagles soaring over. They see the whole big picture, you know. They don't see that we're scurrying right towards the fox waiting to eat us. We don't see that. But the universe does and says, hey, come this way, here, go this way. And, you know, takes us by the hand and leads us to the promised land. What is that? Takes us by the hand in our promised land. Oh, it's Valkyrie. That's a song from my original band back in the day. Well, that was about the Valkyries who soared through the heavens too, you know. Sing a song of Valkyrie, then our signs will truly see. We fight with fire into the dawn. I can't remember any of the words there. That might not even be right. But that was the theme song from my band back in the day, the Valkyrie song. And, the Valkyries were about soaring higher. They were soaring higher on their chariots, and they would swoop down and gather the soldiers in battle, the Vikings that died in battle and brave, and take them to feast in the halls of Valhalla. I am soaring through Valhalla, Valhalla. Anyway, so yeah, you can feast in the halls of Valhalla when you go along with the bigger picture. You can find that thing that's everybody has a part to play. Everybody has a soul mission. And again, the soul mission, that's something I cover in the Soul's Journey readings too. We will look at that. And sometimes it's not a real specific thing. A lot of times you have a lot of leeway, you have a lot of play. In general, somebody who has an Aries North Node, for instance, is meant to be the individual, is meant to be the trailblazer, is meant to, forge that new path. Bravery is a big part of Aries North Node. This is a time when we are meant to be brave, when we can be brave enough to overcome these Chiron. I think I said this in another reading too today, earlier. Chironian, is that a thing? These Chironian, band name, Chironian, got it. These Chironian, influences, wounds, healings. After all, if you look up at Chiron too, Chiron was brilliant. Chiron definitely transcended his station in life. Because the centaurs were looked down as like a bunch of thugs or something. The centaurs were not, the gods and goddesses thought the centaurs were like kind of lowly. And so he ended up, I forget the whole story right this minute, but he ends up being tutored by Apollo and Apollo's sister. And he was well-versed in all sorts of stuff. He was well-versed in, and he could hold his own in any. I'm hearing that. I get down in any neighborhood. Funky but chic. Yeah, Chiron was funky but chic, baby. Funky, funky but chic. That totally was. Chiron would be funky but chic. You funky but, all right, all right, all right. Yeah. So Chiron could get down in any neighborhood. He could hold his own with the aristocrats, with the musicians, with the mathematicians, with, the literature people. I mean, he was just, totally brilliant. So he was totally, Chiron's funky but chic. I got to remember that. Keep that in my repertoire. Anyway, so yeah, Chiron was a pretty diverse and pretty cool dude. And he definitely transcended. He came into this world with a heavy, a lot of stuff on him, and that they thought that all centaurs were just dumb, like animal beastly, that couldn't never learn or be refined. It's Pygmalion. There's all kinds of stories. My Fair Lady, it's the whole thing, and he did, given the chance, he became, he transcended his station in life. And he explored worlds and territories that none of the other centaurs would have ever dreamed of. So that goes back to this. What if Chiron said to the other centaurs, hey, do you think it's a good idea if I go with Apollo? Yeah, I don't know. These two gods, they want to take me and they do this thing. What do you think? Of course, they all be like, no, you're one of us. What the hell? Screw those guys. Who do they think they are? But he didn't. He went. He blazed that trail. He broke out of the old paradigm, and he went and he conquered, and he thrived. He thrived. Well, anyhow, have I missed anything on this chart here? Let's see here. We got the Neptune. We covered that. How it's conjunct the Neptune, major spiritual, sextiling the Uranus. Yeah, the actual moon itself is sextiling the Uranus here, so it's really bringing that in. I mean, it's just... It's good stuff. It's good, juicy stuff to work with here. The Uranus square the Mars. Yeah, that's also happening in the eclipse. The Aries Ingress, I believe. Yeah, Mars square Uranus. It totally is. And it's already active at this time with the 20 degrees. And the 20 degrees, it's pretty dead on here, yeah. That can be volatility. You know, there could be some bumps in the road, some things along the way, some bumps in the road and things along the way that are difficult to deal with. You'll be tested. You know, Mars is tested and testy. It can be testy. Mars can be really angry energy, or, you know, I'm hearing brutality. But I don't know if it's physical brutality, but it could be brutal. It can be brutal. Life is brutal. It can be. You know, let's just call it what it is. It can be. But life can also be beautiful, right? So we got to look at it that way. Anything else I missed here? Uranus, opposing MC, Neptune, Pluto conjunct the ascendant. That's irrelevant. Yeah, so this is the reading. By the way, I just said Pluto conjunct the ascendant is irrelevant because I read this chart for the collective here. We read it as whole sign houses, or the zero Aries house, it's called, where every house cusp, zero Aries, zero Taurus, it goes around. When I do your chart, it will be done for real. It'll be your ascendant, your house cusp. They're not all going to be on the 0 degree. This is just the best way I feel to do it here for the collective. Run it from the zero Aries point. But yeah, that zero Aries point is big. It's leading up to it. It's showing its little face here, and a solar return for the collective. Yeah, that's definitely what I want to call the Aries ingress. People were commenting before, what's the Aries ingress all about? Well, it's the astrological new year, and the energy at that very moment when that Aries turns 0 is all the stuff that's captured in that chart is all part of the upcoming season and the upcoming year in some cases. And in that reading, we also look at we look at all that, we look at all the transits, and we'll also go over the spring eclipses, where those are hitting in your chart, the March 25th lunar eclipse and then the April 8th solar eclipse. And I will be doing, because they are new and full moons, and if you guys want me to continue, I will do those as a regular reading here too for the collective anyways. So check it out if you're interested. I want to thank everybody who already ordered. I know many of you order every year, and you know it's a very informative astrology-based reading, kind of along the lines of how this is. You know, astrology-based, yes, but it's definitely psychic and spiritual and things like that. Okay. All right, everybody. We'll have the best new moon in March 10th. They just told me wish upon a star. They just said, when you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Yeah. Make that wish, make that dream. Do the details with that Mercury. That grabs me really strong. You know, there's always a glitch. There's always something. Start on whatever you're going to launch later, whether it's the eclipse, whether it's the Aries ingress, you know, putting that new profile up or whatever you're going to do. Just go over it now and make sure you got every little thing ironed out, and then it's going to be all cool and copacetic going forward. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in again. If you do like these readings, then give me a thumbs up so maybe we can get some more people watching it and maybe make it worth my while, because I do like doing it. This is kind of my jam, you know, doing the psychic rather than just, you know, these cards that are wrote, you know, the same things over and over again. This goes off into uncharted territory a little, and I like that. You know, that's just what I really groove on. So I'd like to continue doing it, but if you guys aren't losing interest, you're not that into it anymore, then that's what it is, you know. But so let me know if you like it. Give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. I appreciate it. Till then, till next time, this is Vickie Verlie signing out. Remember your love and beauty incarnate.